Welcome back to the Executive Coach Podcast. And this is where we move from box ticking busyness to designing lives and work that we are excited to wake up to. So this is part 2 of a simple reset as we prepare for that final quarter of the year. If you missed the previous episode, go and have a listen to that. It's all about finding one thing to feel proud of by New Year's Eve. And I really wanted to take away any of that sense that you've not done what you wanted to do this year, or that you're a bit lost in terms of your goals, or you can't remember them. And it was just an opportunity to kind of start almost from a blank page and cultivate that one thing. But if you are somebody that has followed along with this podcast and my work for a while, you'll know that there is a bit more structure that we can add, and that all that does is really help us at the end of the year when we perhaps want to do a bigger review and we want to then look ahead to the new year. So this one's for you if you want that bit more structure. Now, for me, I feel like there's a lot of hype in January, and then the rest of the year is a bit of an underutilized resource. We don't check in fully at the half year. We don't check in fully quarterly. And I think that's where the real progress is made. That's the secret to achieving the things that you want to achieve, or having the kind of year that makes you feel really excited and proud, and that you've moved in an aligned way, whatever that is. It could be a big goal setting year for you, or it could be, as I talked about in January, it could be a little bit more of a open year. And that's something that I was looking into this year for myself. So the first thing is to dust off your goals. So I've got my diary here, and I have goals that I have at the start of the year. I just dust those off and have a look at what those were. I also have some more updated ones just for the quarter, which I refer to. And what's nice here is that you might find that there's some low-hanging fruit there. There's some stuff that's been forgotten, but that actually wouldn't take too much for you to achieve it. Then once you've dusted off those goals and you've looked back and you've had a think as to whether they're still relevant, there's any in there that are easy wins, or there's something more meaty that still matters for you, then you've had an opportunity to revisit those. That's your look back at your goals. The other look back that I want you to do is your calendar scan. So this is where you open up your main calendar and you just flick back through to give you a sense of some of what you've achieved this year. And what I love to do here is I get into a lot of detail. So on my phone, in my Apple Notes, I have to-do lists for all of the years. So I have that easy to refer to, but it's also, of course, then translated into my Apple Notes on my computer. So every month I will go through my calendar and just jot down some of the achievements. Now, if you haven't been doing that all month like me, I don't think that's necessarily the normal approach, then this is an opportunity for you to do it at a high level. Just take a minute per month and have a scan of some of what you've been able to achieve. Now, this is going to be so good for your confidence. And this is a time of year when we do need a bit of confidence, right? We need to feel empowered to really take those final steps to making this a strong year. So you will not believe the confidence boost that you will get by looking back and seeing that perhaps the high level goal wasn't exactly met, but you've been taking all of these steps that are actually very aligned to some of the bigger shifts that you want to make. This is your chance to capture that and give yourself credit. And we tend to forget that messy middle. This is your opportunity to have a look at that before we get into that complete end of year energy when it feels quite overwhelming to look back at the messy middle. We're in the messy middle now. So let's just take stock of that and we will make our lives so much easier at the end of the year. Okay, so once you have referred back to your previous goals, checked whether there's anything low-hanging fruit or anything still that feels really significant that needs another look. You've taken time to review some of the amazing stuff that you've done this year and jot that down month by month just by going through your calendar. Now you can decide what a strong finish looks like to you. From a grounded place, I want you to ideally, once you're in a safe space, close your eyes, picture yourself at the end of the year. What does a strong finish look like for you? And this is again where you can use the three dimensions I talked about last time: personal, professional, and relationships. So on the personal front, it could be health, energy, creativity, hobbies, your personal environment, your home. From professional, it could be a specific project, or it could be a pivot that you want to make, or positioning yourself for your next career move. Relationships, it could be What are you nurturing? Who do you want to be showing up for? What do you need to let go of as well? You might not need all three of these categories, but I just thought it was useful to talk through those again. And just think about, what would make you feel genuinely proud in each area and genuinely, give you something to celebrate at the end of the year. And then your final step is for each of those areas that you have mentioned, just pick one simple high leverage next action. Something small, but something that is going to be directional and that gets you moving and starts to create some momentum. So it could be booking a thinking and planning afternoon, right? Taking yourself for coffee somewhere and having some space. I know space is one of the things that my leaders are often really struggling to find, but when they have that space, they get real clarity. Set up a check-in with your boss, that difficult conversation perhaps that needs to happen, or the one that's just never urgent. Block some time for your creative project or course that you want to start. Reconnect with an important sponsor or mentor, just reach out to them. Another nice one that I want to make sure I do is reach out to all my clients. At the end of the year, I've really enjoyed working with everybody and I want to just reconnect with them at that time of year when people are taking stock of their goals and achievements, which I will have worked with them on. The final thing is, what do you need to cross off that goals list? Like, what do you need to delete that no longer matters to you? Because having a clear vision is also about knowing what you don't need to focus on. So summarize, we're revisiting old goals, we're scanning the calendar, we are defining what a strong finish means for us across work, personal, and relationships. And then we're picking tiny steps that we can keep doing or we can start now. And these are input steps, right? I just want to make that distinction between input that we can commit to, that we can control to whatever degree. If you've got small kids and you're trying to get to the gym at 6 a.m., you might not be able to control that completely. But things that you can control versus outcomes, which are not always within our control. And whilst we can have those outcome goals, they might not be able to have such a defined time frame on them as the input goals. So this whole exercise only needs to take you 15 minutes. Maybe sit down with your partner or a friend and do it, or take yourself off for a coffee and have a go. If you're feeling really, really stuck with what some of those core goals are, don't forget you've got Vision Unblocked, my £33 3-day program that will orient you, and it really takes those 3 steps, tiny actions that I have seen over my hundreds of coaching conversations around people's vision are the things that make the difference between a vision being a success and a vision being something that just lives on a piece of paper. So you've got that. You've also got my career blind spots checklist, which might give you a nudge when it comes to your career, something on there that perhaps you need to do. So make sure you have a look at that if you're searching for some career inspiration for the next quarter that will really move the needle. There's nothing on there that is not proven to move the needle. This is based on my research that is published. So you can feel really confident that as you're going through that, those are going to be steps that you could be taking that are going to make a difference. So those links will be in the show notes, and good luck with your review and your goal setting for the final quarter.